Speaker and colleagues, I rise today with both disappointment and determination, and to present House Resolution 506. In Chicago, the Red Line, our city's main north-south train, runs from the northern edge of the city through downtown and down to the south side. But for more than half of a century, that train has stopped at 95th Street, even though the city keeps going miles farther south. Whole neighborhoods, Roseland, Pullman, West Pullman, Augiel Gardens, kept living, working, raising families beyond those tracks for far too long. It is as if our imagination stopped where the train stopped. When I was a young boy growing up just south of that station, I knew what disinvestment looked like long before I ever knew what that word meant. It looked like doing a little extra just to get home, just to get to work, and just to get downtown. It looked like opportunity close enough to see, but always just out of reach. The Red Line isn't just a train, it is a lifeline. It's how folks in Chatham get to work, how students in Chinatown get to class, how families in Lakeview, Lincoln Park, and Morgan Park stay connected to each other. But for decades, that lifeline stopped short, not because we couldn't build it, but because we wouldn't. And finally, after 50 years, we got the commitment that we fought for, a promise to finish the job. In January, Chicago and the federal government signed a full funding grant agreement, about $2 billion from Washington, a binding contract. Then, a few weeks ago, the Trump administration put that money on ice, launching what they called a DEI review on a project that went through 15 years of scrutiny, and it happened after the deal was done, after the ink was dry. Let's be clear, this is not fiscal oversight. It's punishment for trying to build something on the south side of Chicago. And it's a warning shot that if a project anywhere in Illinois and anywhere in America dares to look too black, too brown, too woman, it can be stalled, reviewed, or revoked. If they can freeze a rail project on the south side of Chicago, they can do it to broadband in rural Illinois, to clean water projects downstate, to flood relief in DuPage County. Every week that the money does not flow, the cost of steel, concrete, and labor climbs, timelines slip, and Illinois taxpayers pick up the inflation tab. That's not fiscal discipline. That's ideology over infrastructure. Let's call this what it is. It's political retribution, plain and simple. And political retribution that plays with people's lives and livelihood should be beyond the pale. It should be beneath us. Here's the crux of this resolution and the vote that we will take on it, Mr. Speaker. When politics become personal vengeance, governance stops being public service. Because once you normalize retribution, no one is safe from it, not in your district, and obviously not in mine. And that's why this moment matters, because this isn't just about the red line, it's about the red line we cross when political spite becomes public policy. And this is not just a condemnation, it's a cautionary tale, because this administration is quietly doing the same thing in communities around this state, while many of our colleagues continue to applaud this president for taking from their people. When they cut technology expansion dollars meant for small towns like Mount Vernon and Effingham, they hurt the same working families they claim to champion. When they block environmental justice grants for Peoria, East St. Louis, and Cairo, communities ready to clean up contaminated land and rebuild with dignity, they told those people to wait their turn. And when they spend millions of dollars sending the National Guard to Chicago for political theater while cutting infrastructure dollars that could actually make people safer, they showed us exactly where their priorities lie. A full funding grant agreement is supposed to be the gold standard. It's the government's word, its bond that allows cities and states to lock in bids, to hire people, to move dirt. But under this administration, that gold standard has turned into fool's gold. And this DEI review is part of a broader obsession with fighting ghosts, a so-called war on woke that treats fairness like a threat. They talk about it as if inclusion were a contagion, as if fairness in one zip code just might infect the rest of the country. Because to them, red line extension means DEI, and to them, DEI means black. Let me be clear. Black folks didn't invent the phrase DEI. It was created supposedly about us, absolutely without us, and then hung around our necks as an albatross to disqualify us, and then snatched away so that we would have less than we did when it started. Speaker, freezing this project doesn't just haul concrete and steel, it freezes futures. It tells our communities that government can still find new ways to say no to the same people in the same places for the same reasons. But Illinois has waited long enough for this train to come. We've missed enough connections, and we absolutely refuse to accept that the doors are closing. Because if you've ever run for a train, if you ever have known that feeling, the rush in your chest, the sound of the chime, that split second when you either make it or you miss it, right now, we're feeling that as we run for this train, running towards fairness, access, and connection. And I'll be damned if we're going to let anyone in Washington shut those doors before we get on. On the South Side, where I'm from, where the red line ends, your word is your contract. When government tells our community that the train is coming, that's a promise. Breaking that promise doesn't just delay a project, it breaks faith. So our message to Washington is simple. Take a break from the excuses and keep your word. Finish what you started. Because if politics can derail this project, politics can derail anything.